The Joe Rogan Experience.
That was really an outstanding performance against Canelo. It was, like I was telling you before, it was a great I told you so fight for me. Because there were so many of my friends that are big boxing fans that just thought Canelo was too big. They thought it was too much of a jump. He's too experienced. Well, you got it.
Man,
I mean, you made it look, I want to say easy. It wasn't that it was easy, but it was definitive. You know, it was such a clear victory. It was at one point when you were pity patting him and then firing off hard shots, I was like, oh my goodness, he's feeling it.
Yeah, I was in my element. I was in the zone, mainly because a lot of people was doubting me as well, you know, telling me I was going to get knocked out, I was too small, and I was just fighting for the money when I knew what I was capable of. So I was just like, I'm gonna show y'all what I'm really about, because this is not the first time that I done heard that, oh, he can't do this, he can't do that.
I think your situation is very similar to when Roy Jones was in his prime. Because when Roy Jones was in his prime, everybody was saying Roy Jones, other than James Toney, Roy Jones really hadn't fought anybody. And I was like, no, he's just that much better than everybody else. It makes it look like they're not good.
Yeah.
If you saw them fight against everybody else, you would say these guys are awesome.
For sure. And I've been dealing with that my whole career, you know. People getting so much praise after fighting a guy that I already knocked out. You know, if they beat him, oh, such and such beat this guy. But me, it's, oh, you fighting tomato cans or you fighting bombs and things like this. So it's just like.
It was just because you're doing it so well. That's what it is. It's just people, they try to find flaws in every great performance. Mm-hmm. And the only flaws they could find is, yeah, but who are these guys that he beat?
Mm-hmm.
But you beat great guys.
Champions.
Yeah, I mean, listen, one of the more interesting fights to me was the Benavidez fight. I rewatched that again recently, too.
That was
Especially
a good fight.
Because there's so much tension.
Yeah.
There's so much shit talking and tension and so many emotions.
And he can fight.
He can fight.
You know, a lot of people, they looking at his injury, and he fought no different from before or after the injury. He fought the same, you know. So that's another thing that they're going to say, oh, well, he got shot in the leg, and if he didn't, then this would have happened or that would have happened. And I'm like, he fought the same. Like, if you know boxing and you see him box, nothing changed from his boxing standpoint. He wasn't a mover. He wasn't this guy that used his legs as a defense or offense. So I just take it as a grain of salt and laugh at him.
I'm sure that injury sucked, but he fought the same. And he fought well. I mean, he's a tough guy. He fought really well.
Took me 12 rounds.
Yeah, listen. But that right uppercut in that 12th round that put him down, I was like, oh, my goodness. I remember watching that fight live. I was like, oh, there it is. Yeah. There it is. You found him.
Yeah, he had good hair movement, you know.
Tough guy.
He was ducking them hooks and them straight punches, so I was just like, all right, I got to switch it up.
Well, also, he believed in himself.
For sure, definitely.
I mean, he came into that fight to win.
Oh, definitely, most definitely.
It's beautiful to watch. You get what you deserve. Because I felt like, man, if you retired after the Spence fight, I don't think people that are casuals would really appreciate your skill set.
Yeah.
You know, the people inside boxing, the people that really know boxing did, but I felt like too many of the casuals just talk so much shit. And so the Canelo fight was the cherry on top of the sundae.
Yeah, it was. And even now, a lot of people saying, oh, well, Canelo's washed, he's old. And I'm like, well, I'm older than him. Like, what are we talking about? You know, so I just love it, you know, because it just shows what level I'm on, you know, for everybody to already know what happened, and then they try to take what happened and make it a reason why it happened.
Right.
So I just be like, man, it's cool.
That's boxing, though, right? That's sports in general. You're always going to have that. There's always going to be a bunch of sideline people that talk a lot of shit. But, you know, for a lot of fighters, it's later in their career, especially when they're avoided or they have difficult difficulty signing big fights. It's later in their career that people really appreciate them. Like, think about Bernard. It wasn't until Bernard Hopkins beat Felix Trinidad that people were like, oh, shit. Like, I think he was like 37 or 36 when he fought Trinidad, and a lot of people are saying he's washed up, it's over. And when he knocked out Trinidad, everybody was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been calling out everybody since the beginning. You know, they created a whole side of the street because of me. You know, and I'm with a different promoter. It was always something, you know, and everybody always blamed me. But now look at everybody now. All the promoters working together now. Why couldn't they work together when it was my turn to shine? But it is what it is, and life happened, and I'm happy the way it happened because I did it my way, and I don't think too many other fighters can say that.
That's true. Yeah. It's a dirty business. You know, the business of promoters and keeping guys away from guys and making sure that their fighter, you know, avoids certain fighters. It's always been that way, you know, and it's unfortunate for the fans because there's so many, like the big one for a long time was David Benavidez and Canelo. Like, everybody wants to see that fight, and they just can't figure out a way to make it happen. And you got to think someone's avoiding somebody, and it's not Benavidez.
No, not at all. You know, I just think Canelo, in a sense, he know how big Benavidez is going to come in the ring. You know, Benavidez is a great fighter, you know, but he's a big fighter. He's a tall fighter, you know, and I just think Canelo knows, like, why would I want to get in the ring with this guy that's going to be massive come fight time, and I'm not that big of a guy at all. I've been doing all this with my skills because Canelo's not a big guy. He's been fighting big guys his whole career.
Yeah.
You know, and beating them with skill, you know, so you got to tip your hat off to Canelo and what he's accomplished.
Absolutely.
Being 5'7", going up to 175 and fighting these big guys and actually winning and
knocked out Kovalev.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Kovalev later in his career, but he's still Kovalev.
For sure.
And then having the courage to fight Bivol in his prime.
For sure.
I think that's the fight that probably kept us from getting the Benavidez fight, the Bivol fight. Because I think after that fight, he's like, okay.
Yeah, this dude's big.
This is a little big.
Yeah.
Because Bivol, not just big, but he's got that Russian style, light on the feet, in and out, in and out, in and out.
Good boxer.
It's a difficult style to handle.
Yeah.
You know, and the only guy to beat Beterbiev, who's another beast.
Yeah, so I think, you know, him knowing that, and then I think the disrespect that he got from Benavidez had persuaded him to go elsewhere. But, you know, there's been many boxers from the past that didn't fight people that they wanted to fight.
Right.
You know, look at Sugar Ray Leonard and Aaron Pryor. They never got that fight. So, and that's just one of many. So it's going to be like that.
Well, it always seems at the end that it all worked out the way it was supposed to, you know, and that's how it felt like for me after your Canelo victory. Like, this is like, you know, all the bullshit. It's like now everybody has to shut the fuck up. It's like all the bullshit's gone. It's like now everybody's got to give you your just due because that was a stellar championship performance. I mean, that was one of the all-time great performances because it was a Canelo that's, you know, you could say whatever you want. I think he's still in his prime. And you just outboxed him. And you outboxed him. I mean, think about it. 40 to 47, 54, all the way up to 68. And you outbox him. Oh, that's right. 35 first. Right. That's right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Going up from 35 to 68 and outboxing the champ. And the way you did it, too. It was so skillful. It was so beautiful to watch, man. If you're a fan of skillful, intelligent boxing, that was such a good fight to watch. Because, you know, Canelo's a dangerous guy. He's a heavy puncher, and he puts a lot of power into his punches. He's kind of changed over the years and really relied more on his power. But, man, he knows how to land it. And when he lands it, he puts people in a lot of trouble. And, he just there was this one move that you were doing where you were throwing a left hand and then a quick hook behind it before you even brought the hand back. So he was going to counter and you were throwing a quick hook.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that is so pretty. That is so
catch
pretty.
him in the counter.
Yeah.
You know, Canelo is a great counter puncher. You know, so you got to beat him to it. You got to counter the counter at times.
Did that fight play out the way you thought it was going to play out?
Yeah, most definitely.
Exactly the way you thought.
Yeah, most definitely. We knew what we was up against. You know, when I went to his fight against Berlanga and against the guy that's on his team, I forgot his name, Munguia. When I was with Turkey, I said, Turkey, he can't beat me. Just watching him from 135 to now, like live, I'm looking at him, I'm just like, I can beat this dude. Like, my confidence is getting more and more and more. And his last fight in Saudi Arabia, I was like, yeah, he can't fight like that against me. Which he didn't, which he definitely rose his game, but I just believed in myself that much that nothing was going to stop me from getting that victory that night.
The fight in Saudi Arabia, he looked like undermotivated.
Yeah.
It looked like it wasn't a big enough challenge for him. He didn't look like he was in the same kind of shape physically, like when you look at him.
He wasn't, you know, and it happens, you know. That's why I always train like this is the toughest fight of my career, because it is. Every fight is. And you never know what to expect with those type of fighters that nobody know about.
Right.
Them be the ones that sneak up on you and, you know, you got to be ready for them. But he didn't come to fight. He moved the whole fight, and, you know, Canelo was frustrated, and he was just like, man, this dude didn't come to do anything.
Right. He came to survive.
Yeah, so I could see where he was frustrated at.
Yeah. Well, he probably thought he didn't belong in there with Canelo either, right? You know, so he probably said, listen, if I just keep moving, I can get out of here with my dignity intact and just never get hit real good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating now because before that fight, you were looked at as one of the best boxers today. Now you're looked at as one of the best fighters ever. And it's interesting how that changes, how people now look at your body. And then they look at Errol Spence before you fought him and go, Errol Spence can fight, man. He's a really good fighter. And a lot of people discredited your victory over him because of that car accident that he had, and maybe he wasn't as good as we thought. But now with the Canelo victory, you're in this rare air of, you know, mentioned as one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
You know, there's a handful of guys. It's very difficult to say the greatest of all time, because people want to go all the way back to Sugar Ray Robinson. They throw Floyd in the mix, primetime Roy Jones. There's all these different fighters they put as the greatest of all time, but you are now in that conversation. That's got to be nice.
It's beautiful, you know, especially all the hard work that I didn't put in to be here at that pinnacle of the sport. You know, since I was 7 years old, I've been boxing, I've been fighting, I've been a fighter since day one. So when people compare me to like Sugar Ray Robinson and Floyd Mayweather and Sugar Ray Leonard, comparing me to who will win, that just let me know that I did my job well in the sport.
Oh, you absolutely did. Now, you definitely done?
Man, it's over with.
It's definitely over?
Yeah. I don't got nothing. So I told a couple of my close friends, I said, okay, since 2014, I've been fighting for something, a title. I won my first title in 2014, March of 2014. Ever since then, I've been fighting for titles, undisputed titles, undisputed titles, undisputed. Like, just everything that I've been fighting for. Now I just come back, and it's just like, all right, what's the motivation? Just money? You know, like, all right, so what is on top of that? You know, because my thing was the money gonna come. You know, I was taking pay cuts after pay cuts after pay cuts because I knew what I wanted my legacy to be when I finished boxing. I want to be remembered as one of the greatest champions of all time, you know, and I think I did that, you know. So now it's like this last fight that I had, the height of it, there's no better finish than that to me.
Yeah.
What was on the line, coming from where I came from, all the odds that was stacked against me, all the things that I had to go through in camp to get to that fight, you know, it was just like, man, you did everything right. So what can top that?